So in this video, I'm going to show you how to draw eyes. And this is one of those things that it's actually a lot easier than it looks. And so I'm speeding this up, but always remember you can slow it down if you want. So when you're drawing eyes, the number one thing to remember to make it look really good is to have a ton of contrast in the iris. So you'll notice that in both of these, I draw the pupil really dark, and then I always leave a reflection spot. So there's one area that you don't want to go over, and that will definitely help you. So I'm going to draw a bunch of versions, and I'm going to give tips for each one. So for this one, what I'm doing is doing a lot of work around the eye too, to give a little bit more three-dimensional quality around the eye. So remember, that's a good thing to do. And in this one too, I'm also doing a lot with the eyelashes, which also gives a little bit more contrast. So a lot of times people think that they can't draw like this, but I really want to say that this is something that you can learn. It is something that you can master, and I created a masterclass on pen just for people like you to get better at pen. So check that out. It's in the description. So for this one, I'm doing this one a little bit more graphic than the other two. And so this one, I'm just playing around with different types of line quality. Again, remembering to have that dark area with the pupil and the light highlight right next to it. So sometimes where people go wrong when they're drawing eyes is they make the lines too uniform and going all in the same direction. So notice the other thing I'm doing is I'm going in lots of different direction of line. That helps make it a little bit more interesting as well. You want to also go over the white of the eye a bit. That will also look better. It'll look too cartoony if you don't do that at all. So play around with also how thick the eyelashes are, different things like that depending on what you're drawing. Now, if you're trying to get a likeness of a specific person, one thing you want to do is look at the shape very closely. And so when people struggle with a likeness, it's usually because they're not doing a very good job of observing the shapes. And so you want to just be looking at things like how much space is in between the iris and next to it with the white of the eye, and look for those shapes very closely. And then when you're doing the eyelashes, go for wispy lines. And so I did some just kind of like quick wispy lines in the margin there just to show you. And to add some visual interest, you can use some lines just to kind of go around, radiating out from the eye. You can play around with the direction of the lines that you are going in. And remember, sometimes having these lines be lighter and looser is better than pressing down too hard. So that's another thing that I always like to remind people of. And then just again, adding that contrast. The contrast is the number one most important thing when you're drawing with doing an eye. And if you're trying to learn how to draw an eye and you'd like my guide with do's and don'ts on how to draw an eye, in the description, there's going to be a link to follow to get that guide. So check that out if you'd like. Now, this last one here, I'm drawing using kind of a pattern going in a diagonal direction. So that's the other thing that I wanted just to point out, is that in terms of the direction, you can kind of think about different ways that you can do that. So in one of them, I have the lines kind of radiating out like that around, going in that direction, and then this one going in this diagonal direction. So let me know what you thought. Please subscribe, hit the like button, and I'll see you next time.